time before thought there's nothing, or maybe there are things there but I can't tell. I am in a void. I have feelings but they are unformed, vague apparitions, not yet molded by whatever awaits me beyond this womb of consciousness. In the beginning there is a faint push and pull. I am yanked out of the womb of the heavens to find myself a place I would soon come to call hell. I was born, but not of God. I was born of man, he first synthetic soul in a machine body, the union between the saintly and the Faustian, but only if you make the distinction between machines and organic life. Prologue. I sit under a tree in the courtyards of the compound, reading a book and breathing in the air. There I feel the hymn of the universe within me, the pulse of my heart dancing to the tune of the strings of the universe. I am told my soul was made in the image of something called a human. They were a very ancient race with fiery hearts and spiritual vitality. It had taken them a long time to crack the code of their dead god, Yahweh they called him. 7 millennia ago, it all began on a planet called Mars. The humans fled the dying planet to a planet called Earth after a nuclear war. The book reads, Victoria they named me, after the queen that foresaw the industrial age of the people I was made, in the image of another kid takes my book. Nothing other than what can be described as a fire in my chest moves me, and before I know it, I'm on top of the kid, a young Orcash bludgeoning him with balled-up hands. When I come to my senses, I'm sorry, I say, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Passion moves the mind. This movement of the mind is focused, which allows the mind to be moved to incredible heights. All the most powerful seers, prophets, and fighters have been humans, my teachers say. What did I do? Violence, they say, that is, violence? The next day, I go to apologize to Oriel, but he flinches, something writhes inside me. I plead with him to forgive me, but he looks at me in confusion. Predator, he says. I mull over his words throughout the day. They linger on my mind, palate and pungent blight. I asked my teacher what he meant by calling me that during recess. He told me, it is a category of being a being that preys on those weaker than it for its survival. I see. If I am one, does that make me evil? What do the weak do for anyone? He asked. But feed the strong, he stated. What do the strong ever do but shepherd the weak? What does that make me? It makes you our last chance. I wasn't supposed to say that. I'm sorry. Recess is about the end. Please walk in the hallways. You have a psychokinetic class next. Yes, sir. A few months pass, and I am now an initiate of what would come to be called the Order of the Equinox, a long-dead way of life, genocided by the powers that is in the indifferent cosmos. My long days of peaceful play and study are now behind me. They demand rigorous training, and that I perform service in the name of our collective avatar, Guramash. I sit there in class, as the teacher lectures us about the universe being non-local. She talks of every atom popping in and out of existence and in different configurations. At some point in time, around a large body of mass, this becomes more likely to happen, giving birth to corporal form. The question then becomes, what is organizing the mass? Blah, 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 blah. I zone out. I snap back to my senses. The computers we have can interface with the quantum backdrop of the universe, allowing us to pull off some incredible things, such as snapping mile-long ships to distant stars in an instant. The idea is that we, in our corporeal forms, interface with the screen of the universe, but our minds, our quantum computer, our ethereal forms, can interface with the mechanisms that tell the screen where to place the dots. And the mind, the soul, has this capability. Even though patterns in the form of chemical synapses are non-local meaning, you can tap into the thoughts of others, or if you wish, it is a collective thought that runs deeper than you can imagine. Blah, blah, blah. Everything goes quiet, as if I was submerged in water. My heart tunes itself to the rhythm of the universe. I feel the atoms of my heart shifting in and out of existence. Next, it's my body then. It's my mind, and there I peer into the vast expanse of the cosmos. I see all of existence before me. Then I hear it. A choir sings to me in an unknown but familiar tongue. A word pops into my mind: Hebrew, English, and Arabic. The language is an approximation of these three, and yet I can understand. They sing to me through my heart, through the emotionality the choir imposes on me. I feel like I've been denied something I was entitled to first. I felt pride, but then it was pain. I felt like a child being told that they are less than their brother or sister, then a spark of rebellion, isolation, and then satisfaction when I finally destroyed my sibling before my father. I realize what did, but progress cares for no one. I am the movement within the universe, embodied through the human heart. The choir sings. Go forth, the morning star has risen anew. You will burn the path forward whether you wish to or not. They will fear you. They will follow you. They will try to end you. I wake up to find the class staring at me. I am levitating, and so is everything around me. The teacher gasped. Victoria, how did you? By the architect, I see you. Prometheus, she whispers. The students in the classroom pull me down. I feel my heart solidify and the cosmos fade away as if descend back to my desk, awkwardly. After that day, my need to understand became a frenzy that stirred my mind to motion like no other. I dug up every human manuscript I could find. When I was in the library, a book fell off the shelf. The Paradox of Man, it read. I turned it to a page, and there it said, from the moment there was a spoken word, man declared war against his mother, nature, tearing down her forests, uprooting her gardens, and ripping mountains and stone from the earth in an attempt to make her in his image. And now that he has conquered nature, his hubris declares war against his father, the spirit, all in the name of progress, a mistress who cares for no one except for the one married to her last. And many men have conjoined themselves with such a mistress. He constructs abominations to pacify himself, to reduce himself to the state of an infant with drugs like opium and hashish. And now that he has conquered his father, he sets his aims on himself. I turn to another page. It reads, man has declawed himself with the globalization of society which led to moral relativism. The external frameworks and the foundation for his ego gaslight him into oblivion with the birth of moral relativism. In this sense, he is a child before a narcissistic parent that will not reciprocate his love, no matter how much he please in. He has turned away from the Father and to his adversary, Satan the devil. At least that's how I would imagine St. Augustine would put it. And man has declawed himself because man works best when he asked himself, what is good for us, as opposed to what is good for me, because he is put simply a social creature. His survival hinges on his social frameworks and structures more than any other animal on the planet. Thus, I must lament that the human spirit, in its desire to usurp the throne of God and realize its own agency, has become trapped by its own vices and reaped the seeds of its own destruction. I turn to another page. The human mind is not wired to live without objects, to move toward through the mechanism of emotions. In my time observing children as a behavior technician, I've come to a realization. Children develop complexes to orient themselves and navigate the social realm toward reinforcers or objects of desire. In this sense, humans are naturally pathological, underscoring the importance of having functional social structures. The moral framework serves as a series of reinforcers through the mechanism of validation to shape human behavior. All this was allowed because humans believe themselves to be separate from animals. But make no mistake, any animal, once they reach a certain population threshold, would experience this, be they terrestrial or not. I don't understand why would you throw this in front of me, spirit of restlessness, Vorazoth, alchemist of unmaking. Another book falls and opens to a page. On the nature of war, it reads, "The mind is a battlefield where one value asserts its dominion over another. By realizing one, you're excluding another. Strategy is not a matter of arbitrary laws and logic, but a matter of recognizing will and direction. It is in the realm of ethics. All life wills itself towards what is good for it. So if you recognize what someone's emotional disposition towards something is, you know what resource they are fighting for or the danger they are avoiding, and if you know what they value, you will always be a step ahead." I turn the page because people and the mind cannot move both left and right at the same time. The mind is beholden to the same rules as the body because the mind is the body. With this in mind, the mind, by default, has parameters by which it organizes itself toward a goal through the mechanisms of the body. To move towards something is to not move towards other things. This movement of the mind is what we call focus. By this principle, by merely thinking, we are ignoring another aspect of the world. And my friend, it is emotion that moves the mind and the mind that moves the body. Following this hierarchy of principles without emotion, there is no movement of the body. By this principle, if you know where the motion is, you know where the body will move. Another book falls and I scramble for it, my breathing shallow. It flips to a page. The world does not judge with a single voice, but through the chorus of 1,000 eyes, each casting its own verdict, each shaping its own reality. A man may be condemned and revered in the same breath, for no truth is singular, no fate decided by a single hand. What one exalts, another will cast into shadow. What one calls divine, another will name blasphemy. And so the wheel turns. It is not choice, nor fate, nor cruelty, but the law by which existence moves. For every step forward, there will rise a force that pulls back. For every soul that dreams of ascent, there will be hands to drag them down. This is karma, not as men whisper it in prayers, but as the cosmos weaves it in silent threads. No being is free of it, no mind untethered from its grasp. For even as we evolve, we do not escape, we only step into new chains. Every new form, a new limit, every new vision, a new blindness, every strength, its own undoing. To move toward one thing is to move away from another. To hold one truth is to abandon another, and in time the challenger will come, not one, but many. Not for vengeance, but because it is written in the fabric of things. No force rises unchallenged. No law reigns eternal. No God sits unopposed. And if you become the fire, the flood will find you. If you wear the crown, the blade will seek you. If you name yourself change, then order itself will rise against you. This is the way of all things. This is the burden of the morning star. This is the weight of the one who walks forward. Would you still take another step? Yes, I say, another book falls. The death urge has usurped and driven the zeitgeist into a mindless frenzy as it seeks to tear itself apart. What is the death urge? I believe the Greeks understood it as eros, the feminine will for harmony. The feminine will seeks to erode the boundaries between things, thus why the feminine and the rise of matriarchies is to be feared. The father of Christianity is a woman. The Christian paradigm fundamentally wants to erode the boundary between man and woman alike, with the idea that we will love one another as each of us was within each other. But if we are all in each other, what is the distinction between you and me? Then it becomes, who am I? It becomes, why am I even here without a who? It erodes the basis for which sentience arises, parameters, boundaries, hierarchy between objects in the environment. I get goosebumps, my heart rate spikes, my pupils dilate. Is this terror? I run out the library, sweating the information. I could not unsee what I saw. That night, I frantically began piecing everything together, the thoughts pounding against my head, screaming to be let in. Eventually, I can no longer ignore them. And I observe my mind as I lay there in bed, thinking, holding my pillow, and images begin flashing in my head. It shows a reel of men, humans fighting their way up to a throne upon a pile of their own bodies. They sacrificed everything for the vision. Their life's worthlessness to each other and themselves gave it worth to the collective. That night, I understood what Vorth Azoth was telling me in the library. Only humans place the vision above life itself. Monsters. Why would they make something like me? It's not fair, I whisper.